Hi everybody, this is Donna with Emergency Yoga, and this evening I have a very relaxing yin class for you. Bouddi's already having a good stretch there. And this is a great class if you really just need to wind down at the end of your day. Although, to be honest, I'm also a pretty big fan of doing yin in the morning and at lunchtime as well. So you do you, whatever time of day this class suits you. It's great, and it is a class full of long hold, supportive postures, and also a way to really release both physical and emotional tension. We're going to use a bunch of props. So I have a bolster, a blanket, 2 blocks, and a cushion. If you have something like those, books are great, pillows are great, all good. Just adapt as you need to. And if you want to bring a little ritual into your practice today, feel free to light a candle or put on some essential oils, or even just drop into some mantra music or something really relaxing sound-wise as well. All right, so we are going to start with a little bit of breath, and I really like to sit on something just to make my hips a little bit more comfortable. And if you find it hard to sit, then feel free to sit on a sofa, sit on a chair, or even lie down if that feels good for you. And we're just going to start with a little bit of breathing. So I want you to arrive in a place of comfort and ease, and just adjust your body with some small mindful movements to help you find a little bit more space and feel a little bit more comfortable. And if you're sitting, you can drop your hands in your laps so that your elbows are right underneath your shoulders and your palms are just facing somewhere comfortable on your legs. If you're lying down, maybe turn your palms up to face the sky, or just rest your hands on your belly. Either way, start to breathe in and out through the nostrils. And you can lower or close your eyes if that feels good for you. Or just let your gaze rest on a point on the floor of the sky. And I want you to slow down your breath. And the breathing is in and out through the nostrils. And you're really just taking a few mindful breaths here to notice the quality of your breath and see if you can lengthen and deepen your breath. So beginning to slow down the heart rate as well as our breath slows down. Nice and easy, just letting the breath move all the way out through the nose, and really making sure that you arrive to the very bottom of the exhale before you take another breath in and inhale through the nostrils. So sometimes we cut the breath short without even noticing it, and today we want to give ourselves time to really use all of our breath, both with the inhale and the exhale. Keep the shoulders relaxed, keep the spine straight, and just let your body be heavy for these first few minutes as we connect with our breath, which is going to serve us well throughout our yin and restorative practice today. So take a couple more breaths here. Feels good to breathe out through the mouth. You can sigh the breath out. Take one more full cycle, one more full inhale whenever you arrive at the in-breath. And one more full exhale. And just remember that you can come back to that breath, that really mindful, conscious breathing at any point in the practice. All right, and today we're going to work our lower body, and we're also going to open our heart. And these two things are often really connected. So we're going to start with the lower body. And I want you to come into what we call a figure of 4. Just going to move the little pups up so we can do this together. You are going to bring one shin parallel to one side of your mat. So I've got my left shin in front, and it makes an L shape. Then I'm going to take my right shin and bring that shin parallel to the opposite side, or the other side of the mat. So I've got another L shape with my right leg. So you have 2 L shapes with both legs, and this is where a bolster or a couple of cushions can come in handy, up to you. Whichever leg is in front, you're going to spin your support to the top of the thigh of that leg, and just have it handy there. But for now, I want you to bring the hands either side of the front thigh and just take a big inhale, lift the heart, draw the belly in, keep breathing in and out through the nose just for a couple of breaths here, and see if you can let the back hip and buttock just sink down and soften a little bit. It's not so easy to do. You feel the back side of the waist, or the side of the waist that's connected to the back leg. You feel that a little bit crinkly, but we're trying to let that soften and straighten a little bit as that back hip drops down. Take another breath here. And as you exhale, you're going to turn towards the front thigh and towards your support, and you're going to lay your belly, as much as your belly as you can, down on that. And it's going to probably be pretty intense to turn your head away, so you might want to just turn your head towards your knees. And I want you to just soften down, let the shoulders soften down. You can take the palms onto the floor and let everything sink down. Now, if that is too low with support underneath you, you can grab another cushion. You can put more support underneath you. So I want you to find something that feels like you can stay there for about 3 minutes. And I have my watch on today, so I'm going to time us. And just arrive back at your breath. So your breath is going to remain like a little anchor throughout your practice. So whenever your mind starts to wander, which it often does when we find stillness, you're going to bring your attention back to your breath. And if you want to lower or close your eyes and just turn inwards, you're so welcome to do that. And here in this figure 4 pose, it can be tempting to either hold the chest up, hold the shoulders up, or hold this back hip up. And so I want you to just maybe take a little inventory, soften the shoulders, soften the chest, soften the belly, and then soften the hips, and then finally relax the feet. And then come back to your breath again and begin to inhale and exhale out through the nose. And we're just trying to have these long wave-like breaths in and out through the nostrils, letting the belly be soft as you breathe in and out, letting the body be completely relaxed and dropping into whatever is underneath you, whether that be the floor or some other support. You're at least a minute in, so we've got a couple of minutes to go here, and I want you to just see if you can keep relaxing those shoulders. You might need to adjust slightly. Letting the lower body be heavier and heavier. And I want you to try not to resist your thoughts, just let your thoughts come and go. And it's the same thing. If you've got children or puppies or partners around that somehow feel like they want to be part of your practice, just let it roll off you. And just keep arriving back at your breath. Just allowing the body to sink further and further into the ground. And about another 30 seconds here, so no rush at all. You can always take these final 2 or 3 breaths out through the mouth if that feels beautiful and releasing for you. Very, very slowly we're going to prepare to come up. So adjust your hands onto the earth so you can support yourself. Keep your head heavy and gently press yourself up. All right, you might feel a little yoga stoned already. That's great, amazing. We're just going to flip the legs over. So you can either spin round or flip round, and you're going to adjust your prop as well. So I'm going to have my right shin as my front leg, and that's going to be my L shape. And then I'm going to have the left one as my back leg. And again, you want L shapes here. So if your legs are too close together, or your legs and your knee, your feet and your knees touch, sometimes that doesn't work, and you want to have a little bit more space. It's almost like a square between the legs. I'm going to throw my I've kind of got a little puppy support here, so let's see how we go. But throw your, or take your prop to the other side so that you're going to be able to do the same thing. And I want you to use pretty much the same prop. Unless you've got an injury, you might need to adjust, but that kind of the same prop evens us out. Pull that in tight. Take your hands either side of the front thigh first and just inhale, lift up. And this just gives us a chance to start to soften through the short side of the waist. Let the back hip drop down, let your shoulders relax, and take a few easy breaths here. Nice. Just notice if you're hiking that left hip up, see if you can let it be heavy, the back hip. And then with your next exhale, you're going to turn towards your support. Adjust, add more support, take support out if you need to, and just lay the belly as best you can over. And again, it's going to be hard to turn the face away from the legs. So the easier version, or a little more spacious version, is to turn the face towards the legs. And then just adjust the arms as well so that the shoulders can relax. And come back to your breath. Your belly is soft, your heart is soft. Your eyes are lowered or closed, and your eyeballs are relaxing inside your skull. We've got 3 minutes here, and we've already started. Not worrying if you lose track of the breath and become tangled up in the thoughts of your mind, but just using that as a cue to arrive back with attention on the breath. Making sure that you don't berate yourself. It's really just a lot of kindness to redirect the attention to the breath. Letting the lower body release. You might feel the lower back releasing. Letting the legs be heavy. Letting the heart and belly and shoulders be soft. You're a minute in, so a couple more minutes here, just letting the breath be like a wave-like motion washing over you, almost as though your breath was cleansing you. And hoping you release what no longer serves you. If you need to adjust, either by taking out support and going lower or adding support because it feels a little constricted, feel free to adjust at any point throughout the practice today. You've got roughly another minute or so left, and you can just let your breath continue to be slow and easy. Mindful inhale, mindful exhale. If you happen to notice the legs kind of constricting or that back hip starting to contract, try and let it soften and drop down towards the floor a little more. Take about 4 more breaths here. And if you want to breathe out through the mouth because that feels releasing, please do. Just sigh the breath out maybe. You can slowly begin to place your hands on the earth a little bit more firmly. You're going to keep your head heavy and gently press up. All right. We are going to take Upavishta wide-legged forward fold. So spin yourself around so you can take your legs in a big triangle. You're seated. And take whatever props or support that you're using right in front of you. Now, if you find it hard to fold forward, I would recommend that you sit on a folded blanket or a small cushion. Even a small block is okay. The blocks I have are a little high for sitting on. I'm going to take a forward fold here. So your legs don't need to be as wide as possible. You want stretch, but also comfort and ease. And normally we tell you to flex the ankles in Upavishta. And I want you to just relax the feet so you can even wiggle the feet a little bit from side to side. And I want you to pull whatever support you've got in tight towards the belly. Sit on the block or the cushion if you need to. And if you find it hard to fold forward, this is where you're going to use a lot of props to give yourself some support. So you might actually have a few blocks or books stacked in front of you rather than just a bolster. All right, so start with your hands behind your hips, and I want you to just lean back on your hands, almost like you're drawing your shoulder blades together, opening your heart. Maybe you tilt your head back and just stretch your throat, stick your tongue out. Release what needs to be released. And then press the hands behind you into the earth as you inhale, straight spine here. Draw the belly button in, keep the feet relaxed, and I want you to just fold forward as far as feels okay for you. So you might bring the hands forward. And if that's quite hard to fold forward, I want you to have a really high stack with your blocks and your books and things, and just rest your head on whatever you can rest it on. You can make this support as high as you need to. And if you have more space, then you can, of course, make your support lower and begin to rest the lower belly and the face and maybe even the heart on something. But I want you to find a place for your arms and your hands where your shoulders can also be relaxed. And again, if you've started to flex the feet, just kind of flip the feet side to side so you keep them nice and relaxed. And we're going to take 3 minutes from now. And arrive back at your breath. Lower or close your eyes if you need to. And just let your gaze rest softly on whatever it is that your eyes fall naturally on. Sometimes resting your hands on the prop can actually help your shoulders relax. And I don't want your lower back to be tight here. So if your lower back feels like it has a kind of twinge in it, you can actually give yourself more support and come up a little bit higher with the fold. You don't go quite so far into the fold. We want you to be in a place of stretch, but also a place of ease and comfort. And I want you to keep breathing deeply. I've got a couple more minutes here, so just stay with the breath. Breathe out through the mouth if it becomes very intense. That's a great way to release things. And just be mindful that the body doesn't start to constrict in any way. You want to have this sense that the body is softening and dropping down towards the earth. And so if you need to adjust the position of your body to help that happen, or you need to whisper kind words, asking your body to relax and release, do whatever you need to do to allow that to happen. Sometimes when we stay in these longer holds, the body actually drops deeper, so you might take props out if you feel for the last minute here you've got more space. Just keep that slow, rhythmic breath in and out through the nostrils. Always coming back to the breath whenever you feel your mind wandering off, but without any judgment and just a lot of gentleness and kindness.
Take about 4 more breaths, releasing the breath through the mouth if that feels good. And just letting the body sink deeper into the earth just for a few more moments. And getting to support yourself with your hands touching the floor or your mat. Keeping your head heavy as you slowly, slowly press up. You might just take a moment to take a couple of breaths there. We're going to move into pigeon pose. So I'm going to do a regular pigeon. If you would like to do a reclined pigeon or a seated pigeon or a double pigeon, you're welcome to do any kind of pigeon that feels good for you. To get out of this one, take your hands underneath your knees and help your feet to touch the floor with your knees bent. All right, so I'm going to spin around to the long side or to the front of my mat. And again, we're going to do this with support. So you're going to lay your belly and your heart on something. That could be a bolster. It could be a couple of blocks with a towel over the top or a blanket over the top. And you may also need some support underneath your hip. See how you go. You're going to also adjust and give yourself support with other kinds of pigeon. So if you're doing double pigeon, sometimes it's nice to have a block to fold onto. You can begin just by being in tabletop position. I'm going to do the left leg first. And I'm just going to bring my shin parallel to my prop. Keep my ankle flexed. And then I'm going to straighten and let this back leg move in line with the hip behind me. So that feels pretty tight. I could have a little support under here. Going to go for the blanket, which seems to have escaped my reach all of a sudden. And I want to just I'm going to put a little bit just to make that more cozy. So I might not normally do this if I was in a regular yoga practice, but because I'm in a yin practice, I want to have a little bit more support than I usually do. And I don't want a space between my hip and the floor. So just make sure that this back leg is in line with the hip. You've got whatever support you need underneath the hip of the bent knee. And then you're going to pull the bolster or these blocks and a towel in towards you. Sometimes you can even pull it over the shin if that is comfortable for you. And you're going to lay your belly down on whatever it is that you've got underneath you. And again, rolled up towels, rolled up cushions, it's all good. And you can either have your gaze towards the bent knee, or if you want a little bit of a twist, you can have your gaze away. Just whichever feels better on your neck, to be honest. And then I want you to just really let the body sink down. So let the belly and the heart rest on whatever's underneath you. And you can always just do this resting on your forearms if you don't have props. And then really let the hip of the bent knee, the one that you're stretching, really soften and drop down. Let the shoulders melt. Let the back of the neck be smooth. Let the eyeballs relax. Doesn't matter whether your eyes are open or closed, whatever feels more relaxing for you. Sometimes it's nice just to have your eyes open and let the gaze be soft on a point on the floor. We're going to do 4 minutes here. So you're already almost 1 minute in. If you're in a different version of pigeon, I want you to make sure that your shoulders, head, neck, everything is relaxed and it's just your hip that is stretching. This is our last lower body pose, and then we're going to move to the heart after we've done the other side. So in yoga, we talk about holding a lot of samskaras or negative patterns in our hips. And the idea is when we stretch the lower body, and our hips especially, that maybe we release some of those. And that's why it's nice to do the heart openers after. So we make this space, and then we open our hearts to whatever it is that we're seeking. We're about halfway through. I want you to keep softening the hip that you're stretching. Keep relaxing the belly, keep relaxing the heart, whatever you're resting on. And keep coming back to the breath, moving in and out through the nostrils. And if you have gone too quickly, too deep into your pigeon pose. There's full permission to back out of it and to come up a little higher or just not go quite so deep. So you should always just be adjusting to a place of deep stretch, but also it's a place of comfort and ease. And sometimes when we hold the poses longer, the body sort of automatically tries to contract. And I feel that happening with my hip now. So I'm just like, relax, let go. You can do the same to your body as well. Just kind words, lovingly coaxing it into a deeper state of stretch and relaxation. You're on your last minute. Really let the hip that you're stretching sink down, let it soften, let it relax, let the shoulders, face, neck, head, jaw all be very relaxed. Take your last few breaths, breathing out through the mouth if you need to. Begin to support yourself with your hands. Draw them underneath your shoulder, keep the head heavy, and press up. Just enough. You can slide whatever's underneath you forward. Take the padding out from underneath your hip and just press back, first of all, into a tabletop. You don't have to be super structured. And I want you to just take a cat-cow. So inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale, round the tailbone, press the shoulder blades up. Come back to neutral spine. Take your big toes to touch, take your knees wide, and we'll just take 5 breaths in supported child's pose. So if you want to drag your prop towards you, you can, or you can just even let everything melt into the earth. But your knees are either side of any props that you have, and you're just letting your belly and your heart rest onto the floor. And if your shoulders are a little bit tight, you can bring your fingertips back towards your feet. Just a couple more breaths here before we do the other side with pigeon pose. Maybe a big sigh out. And use your inhale to slowly come back to that tabletop. And you'll probably need just to push this prop forward. And again, if you haven't got a bolster, just adjust. Take any cushions that you had underneath the hips over to the other side so you can be ready for that. And we're just going to bring the opposite leg. So the shin comes parallel first. And usually that's not hugely comfortable, but it's just a place to start. So make sure this front ankle is flexed. Look behind you. You can stretch this back leg out. And if your hip of the leg that you're stretching is really high off the ground, well, that's where you bring this front foot in a little bit closer to the body. Pad underneath the hip. Maybe even if you don't normally do that, you can do that this time because we're in a yin class, just something a little different. Give yourself that bit of extra support. Pull the prop in towards the shin or even over the shin. It depends. Sometimes that's not always comfortable. Make sure that you're nice and square so you're not rolling over to one hip or the other. You can be facing completely forward. Take a big inhale and then start to lay your belly and your heart down onto your prop. And again, turning towards the knee is probably a little bit more comfortable. Turning away is more of a twist. You can see what feels good for you. And just gently ease on in. So we've got 4 minutes here, remember? And then we'll head to a couple of really beautiful restorative heart openers. So let that hip that you're stretching soften and sink down. Let your shoulders, neck, face, jaw, even your earlobes relax.
And you're going to imagine the hip you're stretching dripping down towards the floor. And the breath is in and out through the nostrils. Slow, steady, wave-like movements with the breath. If pigeon is really intense, just know that I have been there. I want you to just see if you can deepen your breath a little bit. So sometimes when we hold poses for a long time, they become more intense. And it sometimes creates this kind of agitation within us, as though we need to escape the pose. So there's always a couple of options there. You can, of course, let go of the pose or not go quite so deep. And you can also become more focused and deeper with your breath as a way to be in that discomfort and to move through the agitation that this kind of deep stretch sometimes brings. Just know that it's all a very human experience. And if you are doing any kind of yoga regularly, you would probably be lying if you didn't say that you had that kind of agitation to leave a pose sometimes. So just know that you're not alone. Everybody goes through that. You're heading up to 2 minutes, so stay with it. Keep letting the hip of the side you're stretching, keep letting it sink down, keep letting it relax, and keep coming back to your breath. If you feel that constriction of being in the pose for a while, talk to your body kindly and gently, asking it to soften and surrender. If you feel your shoulders pick up towards your ears, you can always ask them kindly to release and relax and drop down again. You're on your last minute here. Maybe the breath has slowed down a little more. Maybe you feel your belly and heart relax. Maybe the entire body has this sensation of just really sinking towards the earth. Feel your forehead smooth out. Feel the sides of your face soften. Feel your eyeballs relax inside your skull. 3 more breaths here. Breathe out through the mouth if you need to. You're going to slowly start to place your hands on the earth. Keep your head heavy. And gently just lift everything off your support. You're going to support yourself with your hands to the point where you can take whatever is underneath your hip out. And I want you to just roll over onto that hip. And you're going to help your back leg come forward. Unravel the bent knee. And just let your legs be either side of this prop. And just rest with your head hanging or even fold forward a little bit just for a few moments. You can flip your feet from side to side or just rock your legs from side to side just to unravel all of that. There's no way you're supposed to look in this. This is kind of just a little intermezzo before we go into opening the heart. All right, so we are going to do a supported bridge pose. If you feel very spacious in your front body, you can have something higher, like the block on the middle side. On the high side would be quite intense. And we're not really looking for intensity in terms of, heart openers. We're looking for really nice grounded energy. I think I'm not going to use the bolster for this. I want you to have whatever prop you're going to use. I'm going to use a block on the middle side, but the other options here are a folded blanket, a soft cushion or a couple of soft cushions. Also great options for this pose, but have whatever you're using as a prop, and this is going to go under the very base of your spine. So place your feet on the floor, and your legs and feet are going to be hip width apart, and you're going to roll down onto your back with your knees pointing to the sky. All right, make sure the back of the skull can be resting completely. And I want you to pull your heels in close towards your buttocks, so as if you were about to do a bridge pose. And then I want you to press your feet into the floor, and you're just gonna lift the hips up enough that you can place your prop at the very base of your spine. So it doesn't come up to the top meaty part of your buttocks. It's not in your lower back. It's at the very, very base of your spine, the coccyx. And you can even feel this sort of top meaty part of your buttocks almost dripping off. And make sure your feet are flat on the floor, and you can bring your feet not as wide as your mat, but just a little bit wider than your hips, so you have a sensation of your inner thighs rolling in. That's just going to help your lower back relax. Chuck your shoulder blades a little bit, and then turn your palms to face the sky. And I want you to just let everything drop down. So this is a little bit of an inversion because your hips are higher than your heart. And it's also a very grounded, gentle heart opener. So soften the belly, come back to your breath, let your heart relax. You might have this sensation of the back of your heart dropping onto the floor. Let your palms be open so that you're in receiving mode, but don't let your knees drop out to the side. So if your knees feel like they have a tendency to go out, I want you to take your feet a little bit wider so your knees are more energetically dropping in. And then relax the jaw, relax the face, relax the eyeballs. If you want to close your eyes, close your eyes. You might have this sense of your forehead smoothing out and your brain relaxing inside your skull. And we are going to be here for another 3 minutes at least, if not a little bit longer. So you can really just work on breathing in and out, and that's about it. Make sure your jaw is relaxed. Make sure your throat and neck are soft. You might have this beautiful sensation, which Tara Brach sometimes talks about, like smiling. The inside of your mouth is smiling. I always feel that gives a sensation of happiness when you imagine the inside of your mouth smiling. Keep the belly relaxed as you're breathing in and out. And just, there's a heaviness to the very base of your spine, no matter what it's resting on, whether it's a block or something softer. But just let that heaviness arrive. Nothing for you to do, nowhere else for you to be. You're literally just turning your body into a shape that is grounding, restorative, and also uplifting. Stay with the breath, not worrying too much if you get distracted by the mind, but just using that distraction as a gentle reminder to refocus attention on the air moving in and out through the nose. You've got just under a minute here.
You need about 3 more breaths. There's no rush to your breathing at all. Just let the breath move gently and slowly in and out through the nose. Keep everything about the body relaxed. We'll take one final cycle of breath here. You're going to press your feet down into the earth. Slowly lift your hips up just enough that you can slide the prop out from underneath you. Hold it for a second, and then intentionally just roll your spine down to the earth 1 vertebra at a time. Very, very, very slowly until your entire lower back touches the earth. Beautiful. And then drop your knees into your chest. Take your hands on the fronts of your knees and just very slowly and mindfully rock a little bit from side to side like you're massaging your lower back. And come back to center. You can place your feet on the floor, and hopefully you've got something handy that you can use for the next one. We're going to do a little bit of a heart lift whilst we're in Shavasana. I'm going to use a blanket. If you don't have a blanket handy, you can use a towel. And the other thing you can use is your yoga mat. So you're just going to roll to one side and press up. And you want to have some kind of roll. So, probably don't have this folded the best way. I'm going to actually just fold this in a kind of rectangle. You can, if you have a towel and it's not as thick as a blanket, you could actually roll the towel up. And the other thing you could do is you could roll your yoga mat up as well from the top end where your head is. This is going to go across your mat, and this is going to, you're going to rest your shoulder blades on this. So it's going to give us a little bit of lift in our heart while we take Shavasana, which by the way is not our final pose tonight. So spin round so that you can lie on the long way on your mat. And I want you to have what's underneath you. Mine's relatively low. You can have a little bit higher if you want to. But I want the tops of your shoulders, and you can even put your fingertips on the shoulders, to be almost touching the earth, if not actually touching the earth. So if your prop is so high that when you drop over, your shoulder blade, your tops of your shoulders are up in the sky, this is no good because it puts a strain on our neck. So you want to have just enough height that you feel this lovely, gentle lift of the heart and your shoulder tops dropping back. And then sometimes taking the arms out a little wider, it feels a bit more spacious with this one. And a couple of options with your legs. You can just take your feet wide, let your feet drop out and take Shavasana legs. If you like a little bit of butterfly pose, you can always take the soles of the feet together and drop the knees out. If you're doing that, you might want to put blocks underneath your thighs. If you're in butterfly pose, Supta Baddha Konasana, just as a little bit of extra support because it's a yin restorative class. So find something under your heart so that your chest is lifted in an easeful, grounding, and comfortable way. Decide if you're doing Shavasana legs or butterfly legs, and then make sure you're lying on the floor while you're doing all of this, and come back to your breath. And we'll do about 3 minutes here. So this is a good chance for your belly to be completely relaxed, for your heart to be completely relaxed. And just have this really lovely grounded spaciousness arriving in your heart center. So you might kind of imagine that the muscle of your heart is actually softening and that there's a lot of spaciousness around your heart. It could feel like a relaxation of the muscles and the skin across the chest as well, or a dropping back of the shoulders and a slight opening and softening of the throat area. As long as you've got something that feels a little bit uplifting and just very, very comfortable, then all is well. And again, you can lower or close your eyes or just gently rest your gaze on something. If your legs are in butterfly pose with your knees out to the side, we want you to not have any strain there. So you shouldn't kind of be having any like sensation.
And if you do, then use those blocks or cushions underneath the outer legs, or just straighten your legs into regular Shavasana. Tension is coming back to the breath over and over again. And you're just feeling this beautiful sense of openness to whatever life has on offer for you. Hopefully you're feeling like you cleared out a little of what is not serving you in this moment. You have a little more space to call in whatever it is that you need or desire. You're halfway there. So continue with your breath, moving smoothly and gently in and out through the nose, and continuing to allow your body to be heavy on the earth and really to surrender down to it. You might also have this lovely feeling of the earth actually rising up to meet you. So as you surrender and sink, the earth is almost cradling you in her arms. And this sensation that the sky is watching over you, protecting you, keeping you safe, making sure you're okay. And that somehow your body is just this like beautiful conduit between the earth and the sky. And about 5 more breaths here. Long, smooth, and deep. Breathe out through the mouth if it feels releasing for the last couple of breaths. There's no rush to move from this. If your knees are out to the side in butterfly pose, you can use your hands to bring the knees to the sky. Take any props out to one side. If your legs are straight, you can place your feet on the floor. All right, so while we're here, I'm just going to explain to you what we're going to do. I'm going to use my sofa for this. We're going to do a variation on legs up the wall pose for Viparita Karani. I'm going to use my sofa and hang my legs over my sofa. You can use a coffee table, you can use a chair, or the other thing you can use is a block or a cushion underneath your tailbone and lower back. So I want you to just press your feet down into the earth so you can lift up enough that you can slide out this prop that's been underneath your shoulder blades. You could also use this prop underneath your hips. So if you don't have a chair or a sofa or a table, you can slide something underneath your tailbone, drop one knee into the chest, take your foot to the sky, drop the other knee to the chest, take your foot to the sky, and this will be your variation on Viparita Karani, legs up the wall pose. All right, perfectly good. You could use a block, something else. I'm gonna use the benefit of my sofa, and I think you can still see me when I do this. Just gonna slide on over, take one hip right next to my sofa, and you could do this with a chair or a table as well. And I'm gonna spin around and hook my legs over the top, and then just scoot my hips right on in. And this is how we're gonna stay. If for some reason you prefer a regular Shavasana, you're so welcome to do that. I want you to either turn your palms to the sky, if you've got space to do that, and just tuck your shoulder blades a little bit. The other thing that's nice is to take your hands into Yoni Mudra. So you take your thumbs together and your fingertips to touch each other. So it's like you're making a heart shape with your hands, and you place this over your belly. So Yoni Mudra is the mudra of creation. So if you're trying to bring something new or create something in your life, it's a beautiful mudra for that. So anywhere else that's comfortable for your hands, also very good. Just let your back and the back of your skull rest on the floor. Let your legs be relaxed wherever they are, and come back to your breath. This easy breath in and out through the nose. And we're going to be here, believe it or not, for 3 minutes. So I want you to allow yourself to be completely relaxed. If you are in the middle of your mat with your legs up in the sky, not resting on something, you can always bring them down, knees into the chest if that feels better for you, if it gets too much at any point. If you have somebody to massage your feet while you're here, please also go ahead and do that. Just let your belly be relaxed, let your heart be soft. Everything about your brain is relaxing inside your skull, and you're just letting your head drop back to the floor. Lips are relaxed, eyeballs are relaxed. I have to be honest with you. It's an interesting kind of massage to have Bouddi lick my feet while I lie here. I can't decide if I'm enjoying it or not, but I hope wherever you are, whatever is going on with your feet, you're supremely comfortable and in a place of deep rest and enjoyment. So we got another couple of minutes to go. We're just letting our breath be very, very smooth, very, very relaxed. Just whatever thoughts are maybe left in your brain, you're not trying to resist them. You're just letting them float in, letting them float out. Knowing that when we slow down the body, the brain often engages in a kind of natural clearing process of whatever is in our minds. So while it might feel on occasion that the thoughts are rushing in, think of it more as a clearing out. Let them move in, let them move out. And just keep coming back to the breath. Last minute here. And the breath is so natural that you barely notice it at this stage. Just very gentle moving in and out through the nose. Almost like your face is just melting down towards the floor. And so if your legs are up in the sky, I want you to bring one knee into the chest at a time and place that foot on the floor. And then do the same thing slowly with the other leg, so you end up with both feet on the floor, and you can gently lift up and take whatever support is underneath your spine out. And if you've got your legs hooked over something, I want you to just release the hands first if they're on your belly, and drop one knee at a time into the chest. Just pause. And then we can all gently roll over to one side and just rest on your side for a moment, letting your head rest on the floor, using your arms as support. There's no rush. Just take a couple of breaths here. And very, very slowly keeping your head heavy, and you might even keep your eyes closed or lowered. You're going to use one hand to press up. And we're going to find each other in a seated position. And again, if you're close to your sofa, you might just sit on your sofa. You can sit on a cushion or anything else that feels good. And just take a moment to rest in this comfortable seat with your palms facing down on your body, letting your shoulders relax and your spine be straight. Feel the spaciousness that you've created in your body today. Feel the slowness, the expansiveness of your breath, the openness of your heart. And just follow your breath for these final few moments of the practice. Not only as it moves in and out through the nostrils, but almost if your breath was helping both expand and relax your heart space. So you might have a sensation that you're almost breathing into your heart. And if it feels natural, you can just place one hand on your heart. You might ask your heart, is there anything I need to know? Is there any wisdom I need to receive? And maybe a word or a phrase bubbles up. Maybe it's more of a sensation or a feeling. Sometimes when we slow down enough that we ask this question, is there anything I need to know? Is there any wisdom I need to receive? It's more of some feeling of intuition that arises. And sometimes there's just a beautiful silence. And as you join both palms to touch at your heart center with your hands in Namaste and your thumbs resting on the center of your heart, just feel a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for yourself, for your body, for your breath, for your mind, and for taking your time today to really invest in your own health and well-being. You might also say a special thank you to your heart for offering any wisdom or words of advice to you today. And we can close our practice with a joyful, heartfelt Om. You're so welcome to join, or just to let the vibration of Om, the sound of the universe, wash over you. Take a long, slow breath out through the mouth. Big breath in through the mouth. Just let the thumbs touch that space between your eyebrows, your place of intuition, compassion, as you bow down in respect for yourself, for the practice, and for all the yogis around the world practicing this class with us. Namaste. Thank you so much for slowing down with me today and enjoying this beautiful yin and restorative yoga practice. Thank you, Bouddi, for the foot massage. Go and have a beautiful day, and I will see you very soon on Emergency Yoga. Namaste.